On the next episode of Father to Bother, I catch up with West Coast rap veteran Wildchild of Lootpack to talk about his new project, Omowale, raising his son Blackish star Miles Brown, recording their NBA battle song GOAT, and an ode to fatherhood with Posdnous and Big Daddy Kane. Check it out.
Listen, Miles, I know I call you my champ, but I need to shut this down before you start getting all amped. Jordan just saying his name is like,
here we go.
The sole reason kids still wanna be like Mike.
Dad, I don't know, bro.
Most bit is whole style. Who you know who triple pumps mid-air and hangs for a while? The fact you're comparing them, you don't know what you're doing.
What?
The only person who truly dunked on Patrick Ewing, please. The king of and ones who stuck with one team. Don't forget who set the bar with the dream team.
Whatever. I wanna be the.
Yep, I wanna be the. I wanna be the greatest of all time. I wanna be the.
Yo.
Welcome to Fathers Who Bother, a podcast for men who are dad as we want to be. My next guest is a self-described hip-hop optimist hailing from Oxnard, California. He's a founding member of Lootpack, along with Madlib and DJ Rome's. They released their first EP, Ill Psych Move, in 1996 and released the full-length sound pieces, The Antidote, on Stone Throw Records in 1999. If you haven't gifted your ears to the anthem, fix that right now. He released his solo project, Secondary Protocol, in 2003. And this March, he returned with a new album, Omowale, hope I'm pronouncing that properly, which means the child who has returned home. The project features Madlib, Georgia Ann Muldrow, another one of my faves, and his son Miles Brown of Blackish. You might have heard of him. And an ode to fatherhood featuring Posdnous and Big Daddy Kane. Please welcome Wildchild to the podcast. Salute.
Yeah.
Thank you. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good. Trying to keep it moving, trying to just get this material out to the world and, just enjoy it at the same time and keep my sanity along with that, knowing that everybody's getting over the COVID and getting back to being normal or sense of a normal.
Right.
So
as close as we can get to normal. Yeah. I totally understand. The majority of these conversations took place during the heart. And, it was interesting to really talk to artists about how they were adjusting both professionally and personally to what was happening, having to adjust schedules. Some brothers living out of their studio because they had to isolate from their families and all kinds of stuff. So now we're starting to see, more and more music being released and, shows as this recording is happening, people are flying down to South by Southwest for the first time in 2 years. And
I consider doing that too, but
yeah. I wasn't quite ready to be in the crowds yet. Not just yet. I'm giving it a little more time, but I feel you. But you've been in the studio, you've been in the lab, you've been working, you have this great project. Tell us the name of the project so I can hear how it's pronounced properly.
Omowale.
Okay, Omowale. And so talk about the title and what inspired you to do this work.
It had started like a year and a half, almost 2 years back. Got some beats by Georgia. Shout out to Georgia Ann. And I noticed on one of the joints, she was doing a chant over the track saying Omowale. But the beat was so banging. I wasn't, the chant she was saying wasn't hitting me. It was just the track itself. So I was like, let me do my research. Like, what does that mean? And I was sending her numerous texts, but it took a minute for her to get back to me. So by the time she got back to me, I had already looked it up. Come to find out there was a gentleman by the name of Omowale, and he references when he found out the name, the meaning, and it said the child who has returned home. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, grabbed the bottle of my favorite rum and took a shot because it just was like, it was an epiphany moment because it summed up a lot of things personally because of the fact that I took a break from doing music to get back in the lab and come home. But the essence of the story of the journey of this album was inspired by Book of Eli, the film with Denzel. He's going through that journey, if you remember, where he's heading west.
Yes.
A la West Coast and all that good stuff. But in the journey of it, the cover of the album, I'm basically speaking from that same point of view, but through music, where he was speaking through God, and Omowale being the child who's returned home. It's almost like through that journey he was going through, or what I go through on the album, is like I'm making that journey and I finally make my way back home. But the album is the tribes and tribulations of Black men in 2022 are going through. So when I heard the title, it was like, come on, somebody is somebody trying to give me a sign or something, so kind of encapsulated all those things together, returning home, returning to the mic. I don't really feel that I'm back because I chose to take a break for numerous reasons, but I get it in the world of media and fan base. When you haven't put out music in a minute, they consider you coming back to something that I was like, I never really left, but at the same time, I'm like, well, technically I'm back on my own terms.
I feel
it was a wrap.
No, I feel you. Sorry, I was just setting my do not disturb. I have a feeling I'm going to start getting texts. I should have done that before. My apologies. So you have some great guests. I'm a big fan of Georgia. So talk about the people you have alongside you, both production wise and guest wise.
Yeah, I was always in contact with the homie Prince Poe from Organized Confusion, and I stumbled upon a video of his nephew, which I didn't know, and I don't think he was aware of the talent he has. He goes by the Soli Ghost. And when I reached out, because I was trying to connect with Anthony Hamilton and Dwelle and a lot of cats, I really wanted to do something powerful, but I needed that grit. It's hard to really connect. And like I said, this is during quarantine, COVID and all that. So a lot of things was happening through phone and online. Reached out to this cat. He came through and he's on the joint Breathe with me. And that also features Guilty Simpson. Right. That joint was obviously taking place after the stuff we witnessed with George Floyd and numerous others. And, it was like the tipping point. That song is like that tipping point that a lot of people have already reached. So it was inevitable to do that song. Raz Kaz came through as well on the song Living in Color. And I knew he was the right one because of the sense of activism that he always shares. But I told him, in America, what more or less is the mindset of what we've gone through. How can we speak from our point of view as well as others who don't have a voice? So it was an obvious, real easy joint to do with him. Murs, from Living Legends, he came through and blessed me as well. I took inspiration from the Marvel film, I believe it was Endgame.
Avengers Endgame.
Thanos did the snap.
Yep.
Chris Evans and them are sitting around the table and they're talking, knowing that time is, we already know what's happened. How do we move forward? Because otherwise, why did we even survive? That hit me. Because I look at that like, if I was to put 10 Black men in a circle like that, and they all explain their different situations that they've gone through,
right,
good and bad,
right,
what would be the case? So me and Murs kind of represent, Chris Evans' mindset, and a lot of times people take different changes, like, excuse me, going vegan, stop drinking, reconnected with their family. There's a lot of different things. So I took that joint and I explained it to him, like, on the positive side of things, let's shape that. And he's a fatherly man as well. So it was an obvious collab we can do on that one. Posdnous and Big Daddy Kane, the one with about fatherhood. Yes. That one is also a personal story because we spent time talking for a minute. It wasn't like, I've been fans of these guys for so long, and I've got a chance to rock and share stages with them here in Europe, but we've never collabed on a joint. I think in the past, had we done a song before, it would have been something either on like a straight MC vibe or b-boying aspect. But this one was like, knowing that they're also both fathers. I told them the story of how numerous times when I'm with my son, I get the false identity of being his bodyguard more than his father, and I get it, you know what I'm saying? And we don't look a lot alike, me and my son, but the aspect is like, and to be honest, it's kind of crazy. This was Derek Luke. You guys remember from Captain America?
Yes.
I'm a fan of him because he did this film, one of my top 5, Antoine Fisher.
Yes.
And I remember he mentioned to me as we were asking to take a photo, Miles didn't know who he was, but I know in the film he worked with Jennifer Lewis, who plays Miles' grandfather on Blackish. And I wanted to introduce him. In the middle of that, he cut me off and was like, wait, you're his father? And it wasn't like he was happy. He was just shocked. So it almost felt in a somber way, a sad moment, because he's not used to seeing that. And he told me.
Really?
And
he wasn't used to seeing young actors with their fathers?
Nope.
Wow.
So when he said that, that stuck with me for a long time. So when this song came up, that was the first story I told Kane and Posdnous, and I'm like, you know, Black fathers got to be celebrated as well, not just when they succeed or when they're doing inevitable moments like a entertainer or an athlete. You know, there's millions of us out there, but why is it? It seems like it's a surprise, not really, you know, celebrated.
Right.
And it was inevitable right there. So we that was an easy track to do as well with them. But I also got my man Angelo Arce. He's a singer also out from the 805 Oxnard area where we're from, to collab with me over the Madlib joint, Manifesting. Been wanting to work with him for a minute. He collabed on my son's first project, We the Future. So I was like, yeah, you got to bring some soul on this, brother. So that was another special joint. Then Georgia blessed me herself. She always dabbles in doing, you know, random vocals over songs. Sometimes she chooses to stay behind the boards, but the PTSD joint, she definitely blessed me on. And that was more or less a take on not necessarily love relationship, but it was more or less on the support of a woman with a Black man who's going through what he's going through. Most usually gravitate to you know, the man going into the military and whatnot. This PTSD is more from the sense of being Black in America and all the things like that, but holding on to a sense of support from the female. So that's what that joint was. And then Medusa and Dynasty. I respected their work for so long as female MCs. They came aboard and I told them, you know, with this last election, you know, the support of the Black woman, you know what I'm saying? Especially shout out to Kamala Harris. I was like, yo, if Kamala had her first press conference, what would that look like? And that was that joint. And that's
the three sisters. Was that
three sisters and a child, which is all out men and a baby, you know. So I'd be like the Secret Service, and one of them would be the vice president, and one of them would be the, you know, the White House representative. Nice. So that was pretty much the connection on that joint.
Wow.
Because it was like their time to speak, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
With everything that's going on. So, you know, and knowing someone like Kamala, she might be like, all right, enough with the questions. Turn the music up. Let's roll. And that would be the video. That'd be the video right there in essence. And then let me see, who else did I end up? Sadat X, he came through on the grown folk mode. And he came from a sense of wisdom, you know, because him having kids as well, especially later on in his life, still got a lot to learn. And I find him, as I look through his social media, things that he posts or whatnot, it was mimicking things that I go through with my kids. And where we come from, like the old school parents and still trying to adjust with the times of social media and the world of TikTok and other little things like that we go through. But at the same time, he always references that term, teach the babies. And that was pretty much an easy collab for me to do with him, in an aspect of, you know, talking to the next generation. And then my man Murs, not Murs, I already spoke on Murs, but Tumex from the Visionaries crew. I told him, you know, I'm a movie buff, so I always reference a lot of films because a lot of these films that are my favorites or impactful, I see these things happening in real life. So, you know, 2020, there was a lot of things going on, and like you were saying earlier, there wasn't a lot of music being dropped. I think there was a lot of music maybe being worked on, but there wasn't a lot of, that was a moment, we only could look for D-Nice to be up on the 1 and 2s to give us that music we needed.
Shout out to D-Nice, saved us during the pandemic.
Right? You know what I'm saying? He got us through a lot. So I told you, Max, I'm like, yo, man, I just spoke with someone else about this whole Thanos. Because like I said, Thanos to me represents 45. The moment he snapped that finger, where are we at? And we can't give up on the youth, because the things we're doing now could set the tone for the youth. So who's going to be the one stepping up as an MC or a guiding light for the next generation if they want to pursue music or whatnot? And that was pretty much where we took it. And that referenced one another favorite film of mine, Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, where he keeps going through, different modes of moving forward in life. No matter what he's doing, he can't just get forward in life. And that's what I was talking about on that song. My gosh,
you have the track "Goat" with Miles.
Yes, I can't believe I almost forgot my son.
So talk to me about recording "Goat" with Miles.
Saving that for last. "Goat." We've had numerous family occasions and get-togethers, and for some reason, we always seem to ruin the family get-togethers, because the moment we start talking about LeBron and Jordan, everyone, I'm talking Thanksgiving and Christmas. Imagine with your family and some form of an argument. Me and Miles don't call it an argument. We call it a healthy debate.
Of course.
And the moment that happens, it's like, all right, time to go. I'll see y'all later. Everyone, hugs and everyone's out. But we go in. We literally go in like Stephen A. Smith on First Take ESPN. The thing is, with Miles, he's been such a fan of sports, basketball, LeBron as well. He calls himself a LeBron expert, which I've come to respect him, which he actually is. He went from fan phase, then he became a straight up, reference of stats. So when he was 4 years old, he would turn the light off before bedtime, giving me stats about LeBron and how he's better than Jordan. And wait, don't keep the light on. No, I'm going to tell you another one. Did you know that LeBron, blah, 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 and Jordan only, blah, blah. I was not expecting that, because my heart, I was like, I don't need to hear all that. I don't need to hear all that. It's not changing my mind. That was around 5, 6 years old. So he was doing his homework, because YouTube and Google was everywhere.
Yeah.
Even though he was young, he was doing that. And so he kept with that, numerous times. And that's what led him to being recruited from the junior NBA to be there on their council to speak for a kid's point of view. But it was started with the love of stats. He would be into the stats from the NBA to the WNBA, and he was up to speed. So I didn't know even that he even went to college, because now he's watching these kids young. So I'm like, man, my boys mad libbing. None of them watch sports. I'm the only one. So we ended up going to, every time people see us, we're always at the sporting events. Yeah. Because he's literally just, at first it was me bringing him along. Now I feel like he's bringing me along, So when we did that song, it was an easy thing to dive into. It was like, like I said, with Denzel going through that film, he was referencing memories of what his family had, or what he, his wife or whoever he had in his family at one time. So it made sense for me to bring him in from a realistic point of view of, almost like a memory, even though it's still existing now. Okay, if someone asks us who's the GOAT, and there's a couple of surprises of who we end up realizing who's the GOAT. Which I
remember. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. Go listen to it when it comes out. But yeah, I like the way you guys flipped it at the end. It was very, very, very special, very apropos, and I think people will really enjoy it. So was this isn't the first time Miles has rapped? You mentioned a project called We the Future.
We the Future was his first official release.
Okay.
Which he actually put out during the first year of quarantine.
Wow.
It was supposed to come out a year even before that, but that's when his maturity started kicking in and his voice changed. So he was like, he didn't want the album coming out, and he's over here this old. So he re-recorded the whole album, and shout out to DJ Rome's who helped him maneuver through that. And he put out the record during quarantine. He just wanted to finally do something and put it out and share it with the world.
Oh my God. I know. Please talk about how that must feel as you as an accomplished MC seeing your son pick up the mic.
Oh man, I mean, to be honest, it wasn't nothing new to me. I always knew he had it. I never wanted to force it upon him.
Right.
You know, first time I seen him on stage was with me years when he was probably 4 or 5. But seeing someone I remember, I think it was Big Daddy Kane who brought him up to rock the mic, and he was 5 years old, and I was
soon.
like,
Nice.
Yeah, and I'll never forget this. Kane told me, he's like, I'm not bringing him on stage because you're his dad. I'm bringing him on stage because when I asked him to spit a freestyle for me backstage, he waited until the one. I was like, damn. He's like, that's it. Other people would just, you know, and you wouldn't know. But he was like, hold on. You know, and he did something like that. And Kane told me that. And that stuck with me for a long time. So I knew because of his love for dance, he had it. But it was just a matter of, in this world of social media, not getting easily influenced by what you might like out there. Because a lot of times these kids get trapped into doing something because they want to follow instead of liking, but leading at the same time. So I told him that here and there. I could only say so much. My wife had to pull me away from his ear because she knows I was like, but come on, let him know. You know, I was on that. I was like, but then I was like, all right, you got it. I'm good. I'm gonna go over here. You go over there. So I'm pretty sure the next project, he's probably gonna kick me out of the mic booth. I ain't even gonna be allowed in the studio. I'm pretty sure. But he was inspired by, like, you know, Jaden Smiths and you know, all these other, even X who passed away, Triple X, you know, X or XXX, but I know he's got it. But it was a special moment to see, you know, him rock, and he got to do a song with one of his idols, Damian Lillard. That was dope because I can only imagine, you know, I'd be mad if I was that young doing a track with Michael Jordan or whoever, Shaq, you know.
Right.
You know, at the time, Shaq was, you know what I'm saying?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I saw you guys were at the All-Star weekend, and he was taking pictures with all the greats. So I know that he was, for any kid that would be a big moment, but for him, it's like, wow. Did he know you as my dad, the rapper, or is he just dad? You know?
You know what? Miles is more or less looks at me as dad. I never really, I think in his younger years, I didn't really, I mean, obviously I couldn't bring him around a lot of the events or 21 over events. It's weird, but it's like, it's weird for me, but I don't think it was weird for him. His first rap concert was MF Doom.
Wow.
We happened to be in Paris, but we were going to a dance event. And so sometimes I try to tie in certain things, but that was just by chance. So we got to see Doom. So in my mind, I'm like, you're at it, you know, I'm sitting there, you don't even understand. I'm just joking with him, right? You don't even understand. You at an MF Doom concert. And all he could say is, I just want the mask. Can I get the mask? Where I can get the mask? I'm gonna go over here and start dancing in the cypher, but just let me know when we can get that mask at, and I'm good. That's what he said to me.
Priorities.
Yeah, so, you know, I think he grew into learning what was going on with the connection, but because when I am mostly with him, I am just dad. When he's in his entertainment world, most people just know me as dad. The connection back and forth, you know, like I did a song with MC Light, but then when my son met MC Light and I'm with him, she didn't realize it was still me. And that happens all the time. So I'm like, Jack, watch how you did. Remember we could, you know, because a lot of times people know me more on the music versus my face.
Got you.
Yeah, so it was one of those things I go through to this day. It's all good though.
No, that's dope.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take it back a little bit, because I understand you have a daughter. Yes. So I want you to take me to when you first found out you were going to be a dad.
3:26 p.m. December 27th, 1994. It was crazy, man. I was like nervous, excited, butterflies, but I was just trying to be there for my wife. You know what I'm saying? I was like, because she was like the biggest trooper of them all. You know what I'm saying? Seeing childbirth for the first time, I mean, us as men can never do anything to top that. All we can
Sure.
do is be there. Whatever you need, whatever you need.
Right.
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So, and I still give it to her to this day because she's the biggest trooper of them all.
Right.
But yeah, when I found out that I was going to be a father, you know, it was a moment that I knew I had to grow up. You know what I'm saying? It was a moment that changed my life for the better because it gave me a sense of knowing it's not about me anymore.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And it gave me a sense of knowing pride. You know what I'm saying? I was the dude that was like, I wanted to videotape everything. Wait, what'd you say? Say that again for the camera. Wait, what'd you say? Say that, you know. So I wanted to tape everything. I didn't know if I would faint, you know, I didn't know, you know, but I was happy, man. I think my happiness was here, but my reality was here. So my excitement, when by the time reality kicked in, I needed a moment just to like them champions feel when they win their first championship,
right?
And they don't realize they're so busy stuff, and then they, you know, that was that moment. Matter of fact, my daughter Kiana, who's become a dope artist, there's a painting she did right here.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice. My son's studying graphic design in college now. He's a sophomore in college. He's studying graphic design. My daughter draws as well. That's dope.
Hey,
those artist kids are special, man.
Yeah, man. So she had a passion for that, and so that was just a dope moment. That's when I remember knowing, like, someday, somehow, I'm gonna do a song about you. You know, and I remember saying this, I'm gonna do a song about you. No one's gonna say it's corny, you know, because I know that she kind of was like real mature at a younger age too. She was like, as long as it's not corny. I'm like, I didn't know about that word corny. Come on now. But we did everything together. Like literally, people talk about me being with my son Miles, with me and my daughter, because she's 10 years older than him.
Mm-hmm.
We did way more things. Because I think this was pre-internet, you know what I mean? Like this is pre, you know.
Yep. Just around, yeah.
Yeah.
Internet popped off more like 95, 96.
Right,
roughly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I was trying to shower her with everything, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Spoil them, you know what I'm saying? It's hard not to, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to feel like, okay, just because she's a female, we can't have the same fun and do the same things like a father to a son. No, it ain't going down like that.
Right.
So we literally did almost we did everything together pretty much. You know what I mean? My wife was right there and she videotaped, and we would do this and we would dance and have fun, and you know, same thing we do now. We still do, huh? You know, but all that stuff we did when she was real young, and it was just there was no cameras or social media cameras around.
Right. When you mentioned camera earlier, I'm like, you had a video camera in 94. You were lucky.
I went through all the different phases. If we had I probably could work for some tech company. Like, which model? Yep, I had that model in 95. Yep, that model came out. Yep. But yeah, I have all the tapes, and I'm like doing one of them, like, you know, when you send all your classic cassettes and tapes and videos to get converted.
Yes.
I'm going through all that right now.
I need that. So what was it like for her when Miles came along? Because like you said, they're 10 years apart. Mine are 6 years apart. So you're either going to get, you know, them, she's going to take kind of like a second mother role, or they're going to be closer. Like what was it like for her being that much older?
It was a beautiful thing to watch as well, because they would have their moments like any brother and sister do. You know what I'm saying? They got their moments where they tit back, you know, go back and forth. But she was really nurturing. She helped so much. You know, she never shied away of speaking her mind. But we do know that sometimes she knew, you know, obviously with Miles growing up in entertainment or whatnot, he may get more attention here or whatnot. But we were quick to remind her, no, you were the firstborn though. Don't get it twisted. You know, the love was always shared. Our family always shared the love equally. But at the same time, outside our house, she's aware of what's going on and whatnot. And she took that all in stride. And I'm proud of her for that to this day. But she always cared for Miles and, you know, was that bigger sister. I mean, it's funny because even as she got older, you know, she would be at events where she might be taking him. And a lot of people would be like, "Oh, your son is." And he said, "No, big sister." And I was, that's crazy. I'm like, really? People don't, so therefore we stopped going to events, or we would make sure we would all go to events so people won't mistake her for the mom.
Wow. So
Yeah.
career-wise, so when your daughter came along, you hadn't dropped the album yet, but then the album came out maybe before she was like 5 years old. So then fast forward, where was your career when Miles came along?
Miles came along. I know I was still traveling a lot. I was still traveling a lot. Even though the Secondary Protocol album had still been out, I did another album, The Jack of All Trades, and in the world of festivals and whatnot. It was still, when he was young, it was still allowing me to travel and do appearances here and there and collab. But my wife, she held down the fort, allowing me to still do these things. And it was like every other month, I would be traveling or doing whatnot. But, I don't think we had FaceTime then. No, we did not have FaceTime. But when I would go, it wouldn't be for long. I might go a lot, but the span of the time frames that I would be gone wouldn't be a long time. 3 weeks, right. Maybe a month at most. But she kept, Miles and Kiana. She held down that fort while they was in school and doing their thing for sure.
Shout out to the mom. Shout out to the moms.
Oh, yeah.
So at what point, so talk to me about when you found out you were having Miles. What was going through your mind? Like, did you find out he was going to be a boy? Did you wait? Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I think we went and we saw, like when you go to where they give you the video of what your son's going to look like, or you don't know.
The sonogram.
Yeah, the sonogram.
Right.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah.
It's fine.
And I remember getting it, and I think we had like I don't know if it was a 3D one. No, it wasn't a 3D one. It was a picture. Yeah. But when they showed it, it was crazy because I remember looking, and it literally looked like he was like this, chilling. Like in the video, it looked like he was chilling. And when he was born, he would sleep like that. So it was just crazy, like, yo, this dude was like that inside of you. And it was crazy, man. But no, I'm telling you, that's what it looked like. But I remember he was smiling a lot. Like in the video, when you're watching him before he's born, you could tell he was smiling a lot. And I remember when he was born, he seemed like such a happy baby. That I do remember. He smiled a lot, he giggled a lot. And then I was like, all right. And I just started showering him with music. No rap music. We never really listened to rap music, but it was a lot of funk and soul. So at 3 years old, instead of playing the Sesame Street and Muppets and, I was playing Cameo and, Funkadelic and,
nice.
George Clinton and all this stuff. And then it just went from there, man. It was just like, and I know we still went to events. My wife, we would still go to events. Before he was born, it'd be a festival and he was there. It'd be, and we were like, yo, we were surrounding you with music before you came out the womb, and but it was a special moment. I knew I had to write about that. I remember hearing him cry. I never wanted to forget how he sounded crying. I'm getting choked up a little bit thinking about it, but I never wanted to forget him crying. So I remember recording him crying on the mic, kept it. And then there was a moment where when he was starting to get his speech, it used to be just, but then there was a moment where he started, but he didn't realize what he was, he didn't realize, right? And I said, oh, wait, maybe I can record this. So I just, for fun, I hit record, and I remember he started, and it was funny because he literally, with rhythm, this is what it sounded like. Whoa. So I took that and I looped it. And that was an interlude on one of my albums. And
word.
And that was the birth of the song Soldier Story that I ended up doing about him.
That's dope.
Dude,
okay.
it was so crazy, man. Like I was like, yo, it'd be different if I was like flipping it like a producer or something. It was literally like, you know, you're sitting there, you're like, wait, were you just on video? And he didn't even know.
So Wild Child had a Wild Child.
Man, I remember playing that for him. I always embarrass him with that video. You know what I'm saying? But no, it was a dope moment because him and Kiana were special in their own ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Miles came, I remember he was really into sports at a young age. I never seen that before. I've seen kids play and all that, but he was really gravitating. I'm talking, I know this sounds exaggerated, but it was like to the point where I had to record video.
Yes.
I think it might have been one of his first YouTube videos on his own page. 3 years old, knowing about soccer. He's knowing about volleyball. He wants to play baseball. He's liking basketball. And literally, he would dress the part. So he'd have his LeBron jersey on, Harlem Globetrotter wristband on, and he would just be around the house, literally dribbling at three, sliding like Curly and all these guys would do on the Globetrotters. And it was crazy, man. Like I'm not over exaggerating. He was literally, it was like if you show him, he'll do it. If he sees it, he'll try it. And that's how dance started. He's, and then that's when the dance kind of took off because he would come into the computer room where I would be in the studio or something, and I'm listening to funk.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? Oh, this is a song by Brides of Funkenstein. You don't know who, and this is me. You don't know who this is, but this is okay. And then like literally within a week, I would show him clips of Soul Train on you. This is when YouTube was like starting.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know this, but the reason I did it was because I would explain. Me and Madlib used to go on Soul Train when we were
really young. You and Madlib? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, this would be our weekly journey trips in between. But my boy Inverse, rest in peace, Inverse, who I used to rhyme with, him and Madlib are cousins. His uncle was the stage coordinator when Don Cornelius was still there. So we would go, but we would only go when we wanted to see who we wanted to see. Big Daddy Kane, Moni Love, all these numerous artists. Right. So I'm explaining that to my son, because dance, and I'm like, if you like dance, you like the dance, okay, where do we start? All right. Because we didn't have, and this is a time when we didn't have Break-In or Beat Street on DVD. Mm-hmm. I didn't have those. Everyone has seen that film, but I didn't have those just for me to pull it up.
Right.
But with Utah, I was like, yeah, there's a show called Soul Train. So I would show him these clips. But the thing was, instead of watching the dances, he was tying in, oh, you played me that song. Oh, that's the song you were playing. I know this. So it became like an easier way for him to gravitate to, kind of like if I was showing him a basketball move and then he sees someone doing it on TV. So then dance became everything. So I'm like, oh, well, what else? I mean, there's this dance show. And this is the time when all these dance shows on TV was everywhere. So if I'm watching them, my wife is watching them, my mother-in-law is watching them, and they have these shows on, he's imitating. So he learned how to head spin on his own. Oh yeah, no joke, man. It was one of those things where he was just taking it, and he was really good at, and to this day, he's still good at learning by sight. Kind of like Nick Cannon when he was in that film Drumline.
Yes. That's
how Miles was at 3 or 4. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So take me to the dancing is definitely a talent and a gift and an interest of his. When did that turn into acting?
Because we lived about an hour and a half out of LA, the dance auditions started coming. So I always had to drive them back and forth. We were fine with it because we like to support and attend dance events in person. So we were used to driving an hour and a half or whatnot just to be around these dance events, and he sees all these dancers that are inspiring him and he's a fan of, and he would actually enter the battles and do all these things. But with all that driving, there was a moment where my wife said, with the dance auditions, because as a dancer, it's even that much harder than an actor to make it and succeed in that business if you're really trying to get into that. She suggested, why not get him into acting? So I remember we ended up signing on with a talent or acting agent and started bringing him out for auditions. And it took a while, but our goal for Miles was just to not worry about the outcome.
Right.
Just keep having fun. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's it. If you were to get a job and be blessed to get, this, great, So it led to him, I think, landing something with Disney, a commercial appearance, and then Yo Gabba Gabba, which was a Nickelodeon show.
Yes.
That came around, and he landed that. I mean, it's a weird full circle moment with that.
How so?
Yeah, and that ended up happening, and he started taking it more serious because in these commercial appearances, he was just having fun being a kid. That's what they were looking for. And then it just kept leading up to there, and he matured more. Even though he was still young, he still was becoming more aware of what he was. Did I get that job? No? Okay. What about this? He would ask questions here and there. And and then, ended up being the Blackish thing that ended up happening as far as the show. And that was even another level of the audition factor, because at that time he was so young. And he had been auditioning for numerous things. He had did appearances on a few TV shows. And I remember he ended up getting an offer to audition on another show at the same time as the Blackish show, which was only called the Untitled Anthony Anderson Project. And we're so used to just going out for this one or that one. We've never or rarely have went out for auditions that might be competing with each other.
Right.
And that was that situation. He ended up getting the whole callback and the testing, they call it. And technically they ended up outbidding for him. He ended up, now I will say the other show, which was a Kevin Hart produced show. My son, being his age, gravitated more to the Kevin stuff because Kevin was right in your face at that time a lot. Whereas Miles was not aware of Anthony's body of work, which you can't pass up. And I remember, because of the time frame he was born, he wasn't familiar with even like Kangaroo Jack.
Right.
Because of the age and the time of that film coming out. My daughter was.
Right.
So when that show came up, the Blackish show, he actually said, well, what do you guys think? Me and my wife. So we read it. We told him, this one seems right up your alley. It's more family orientated, resembles you a lot. And we ended up, mutually agreeing to do the Anthony Anderson project, and come to find out the other show never got picked up.
Wow.
And that was the most exciting, but the most nervous we've ever been, because we felt like at the end of the day, we want Miles to be happy, but we're weighing in on it. What do we think? What does he think? So, it could have went a whole different way, and we'd be having a different conversation right now.
Word. So what was that like the first time you saw him on Blackish on that screen? Do you remember where you guys were sitting? Where did you watch it? What was that?
To be honest, on TV, it was definitely awesome. We had all of our family around for the premiere that first aired. But I gotta go back to when the show was announced, because I know there was a little hiccup when everyone was trying to get used to that name, because there wasn't a lot of explanation.
I remember that.
So when the name came out, there wasn't a lot of explanation behind it. It was like, just hold on, you'll get used to it when you start. And then people came around. But the moment that really stood out was when we started seeing the advertising in our area. I mean, it was everywhere. And I watch a lot of shows, from Martin to, obviously the Cosbys and all these other shows. I've never seen that much promotion behind it. I mean, we come from the world of street promotion and all the, and all that, a lot of shows are also promoted online, and, you can, and all that we get. But when this was out, it was everywhere. And it was it was overwhelming, to be honest. It was overwhelming. And the one thing that was really awesome was that Miles just took it all in stride. He wasn't, he never let it get here, is what I'm saying. He never let it get there. And I'm still proud of him to this day for that. It was the parents that was glowing. We was like, yeah. So it was awesome. But to see him on TV was definitely a blessing, especially being around all the actors and all of what they were telling him on screen, off screen, the advice and the things he's doing and learning, because the adults were just doing their thing. The kids, they're still learning in real time, and and all their confidence. They brought their A game every day, and all the other parents was awesome, and everybody was just it was so dope to witness, because in this world of Hollywood, a lot of people tell us you don't see a lot of shows like that. There's always some form of drama or some form of negative aspect in the midst. And this show felt like another home away from home for him for 8 years. So it was just dope that he was able to do it. Our family was able to come and, see some tapings here and there. And it was a blessing.
So what was it like watching him literally grow up on screen? And what advice would you give to parents who are looking to get their kids into Hollywood?
Okay. Seeing him on screen was definitely special. I think what really tripped us out was because the subject matter of what they were going through, he's learning about some of these things before us as a family even were bringing that up in our conversations around the table. So some questions came up and here and there. So it was just dope because it was like, wow, he's really learning at the same time, And I think the show, was it Wonder Years, was similar to that. The things what was going through his mind at that during the original, it was like how he was narrating, he was learning, or the Christmas Story film, So in real time, it felt like he was learning. But when he was filming it, it may not have felt like that because all the show wasn't edited and all that. But as it started to come on TV and he's seeing like the parts that he wasn't in when he filmed, then he's realizing, oh, okay. So wait, so it was like I said, giving that bridgeway for him to learn at that young age. Like, we weren't going to tell you about that, but I mean, since you guys were tackling that subject, here's what it is. And they went a little lighthearted on that, but your grandparents in real life, they would have said something like a little crazy, and I was like, I love Jennifer Lewis, but it was special, man. But he was able to just keep having fun. I could tell he was just enjoying it, especially the behind the scenes. That was like one of the dopest things to me. My wife would be there, and and the other parents, and we would record as much as we could behind the scenes footage.
Yeah.
Seeing them have that much fun behind the scenes, it was crazy, man. Especially having Marseille Martin, who plays his twin on the show. I think that was a blessing for him to be a twin on that show, because he had someone else who was going through the same thing. He was able to witness it through another person, and it's like a partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were able to play and have fun and piggyback off of each other. But if he was a team, I feel like the fun would have been there. It would have been special, but I don't know if he'd be able to goof around as much. They would expect you already to be ready to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give a lot of leeway knowing that they're kids, but they respected them at the same time, because even though they would play, as soon as the camera was ready, they did what they did. So it was a good balance of all of that. So, and then as far as the advice, I was going through this a lot when the show first started. We would go to auditions. I think I remember going to auditions a lot. I'd see other parents. We would speak. This is before everything that happened. I couldn't tell where everyone was coming from. I was learning myself, you know what I mean? And my wife as well. We would always tell Miles, just have fun, but I tried to, I was trying to get my words the right way, because I know what I felt, but I didn't know how to say it, because a lot of people could take it offensive. If you say the wrong thing, how dare you say the wrong thing, and they don't take it the right way. So in a nutshell, I would normally say, just realize at the end of the day, what will make your kid happy? Some kids aren't, I'm not gonna say aren't built, but aren't understanding that struggle they got to go through first to succeed. Just like sports.
Right.
Some aren't like ready yet. And you don't know, you might not even know when they're ready yet.
Right.
And you're trying to speak through them or for them. You don't know that. It takes time. And then I also said, when they'll ask me a blunt question like, how did he do that? I want to do the same with, the first thing I'll say is, his path may not be his path or her path.
Mhm.
The timing that something might happen to him might not happen directly to him. Because a lot of people wanted to take that quick, easy, how could I reach, do, I get it. I totally get where they would come from. But the best advice I would say is, you'll know. You're asking me a question that you're going to know when the time is right for you.
Mhm.
No one knows that except this dude up there.
Yeah.
How can you, I can't tell you to, you know what I'm saying? This isn't sports where everything is a rule. And I'm saying, get those cleats and get that bat and get that equipment and go in the gym and put the boxing gloves in and give good and then bulk up. And then you'll get out. By the time you get out in the field, he'll be ready. He'll be ready for his first boxing spar. You can't do that in this world because obviously they always say it takes a little bit of that it factor. But even if you have the it factor, it takes timing, a little bit of luck. But at the same time, there's an actor who might not have that, but he fought harder because he was built for it. You see it. Everyone's different. There's no way you can give advice. You know what I'm saying? It's like hard. You want to give advice, but how do you give advice if you're coming from where what you might have gone through might not be right for this person? So that's the part that sometimes I shy away from answering because I can't tell if it would come across like, oh, well, because we made it.
Right.
We can say something like, I'm like, no. We felt like that all the time. That's why we weren't even in our own heads. How we started with, and we still remain with, as long as he's having fun and this is what he wants to do, we'll play our part. How can we play our part to help support that? Always support. But you throw a kid who starts off winning it, and then they start realizing what they got in. Are you going to stop or are you going to keep pushing them? It's just like any sports, music, all the above. But yeah, that's pretty much the advice I would say. Just know that every journey is different for everyone.
And speaking of journeys, Blackish is now the last season. So what's been that like at home, walking him through, okay, this, what do you want to do next? Or, remember, he's been doing this for so long. Like you said, how many seasons has it been now?
Seasons, yes.
Like what has that been like, at home talking about that?
We've been since season 1 having this conversation. My wife is really firm with reality. We have a balance of you know what? Give me 1 second. Before this computer dies.
Sure.
Want to make sure that we're good. Give me 1 second. I don't want to die on you.
Sure. I just paused the recording, so we can. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, we've been speaking on his future since season 1. We always, I guess, we come from the reality because, like I said, you're not used to seeing. When you're in a position where you're not used to seeing shows survive since the Cosby days and Happy Days and Mark, and you do have a sense of reality. We don't live in at that time we didn't live in LA. We lived in Oxnard, so our standpoint was you never know. As we start to learn about how the industry works in television and film or whatnot, some shows could go for 1 season and 2 or whatnot. Even though we know there was a lot of support behind the show, we still had that sense of, hey, you never know. What else? It wasn't necessarily a full worry. It was, what else would you like to do? What else could you do? You're getting all this inspiration around you. So I know in season 1, season 2, probably, we started talking about doing things after the show, whenever it may have stopped. And I know Miles started to consider producing, coming up with ideas of his own. Through the years, there was a moment where it was a lot of reboots and remakes and spinoffs being talked about. So he started literally thinking about certain things that he'd want to do outside of Blackish. But we wanted to take his time. We didn't want to jump to the first opportunity or whatnot. So through the years, he started to develop and become more aware of how he could come up with other ideas that he wanted. And he's being inspired by people doing different work out there, like Jordan Peele and Spike Lee. And, and every time he meets them, he would speak on these things.
Right.
and as a fan of a project they put out. But the way he would explain it, I remember they said something like, "Have you ever thought of producing? You seem really into the, how the films are made and whatnot." And he would say, because of what I've learned on Blackish, how shows developed and from the beginning to the end and the editing and the music. So then that's when me and my wife said, "Hey, well, we could start we can help support you and, and start a production company for you." So and then out of nowhere, here comes COVID. COVID kind of like, even though things shut down, it actually began a process for us to start his company. So we haven't announced anything, but it was like one of those things where, hey, if you want to start developing something, now is a really good time, and that's what we started to do. We started to come up with things for him to work on and what his vision is and things that he could do from his standpoint. And so hopefully people will be hearing about that pretty soon.
Nice. And Marseille has been a powerhouse on the production side too. So he's got a great inspiration on that side. Yep. So I want to know, what was your relationship like with your father?
Oh man, my relationship with my father was awesome. He's been there in my whole life, even though at a certain point him and my mom split. The day I was born, of course, but at the same time, it was like, just turn the lights off here. Okay. No, but our relationship was cool. I really appreciate him grounding me and my son, always being there. He was a working man, and he at one point was in the military. But I do remember the thing that stands out is the moment he put a baseball glove in my hand, it was a wrap. I think that was probably the one thing that shaped everything for me, because I don't even know what he was thinking at that time. I mean, some people act like it's just a normal father-son thing, but because when I started doing music, that came right after I stopped playing sports. My whole thing was sports. I was straight up, and I was giving everything into that, and but that whole sense of being thrown in another person's, a coach's hand, and to develop you through junior, high school, even into college. But that all started the day he put the glove in my hand. So I'll always remember that. But he's always been there for us. It's in my family, it's just me and my younger brother. He's 3 years younger than me. And then as I got older, I was already, I can't remember what age I was, but when my parents split, I still remained, involved with my dad as well as my mom separately. But yeah, it was definitely a blessing growing up. I had also an aunt who's more of a sister. She was the youngest, my dad's youngest sister. She felt more like a sister. So with us in the household, it was like having a sister versus another aunt who's only 2 years older than me. You know what I'm saying? And it was a lot of things growing up that was really special. A lot of things I took away, a lot of things I learned, as maturity, how to behave, how to treat a woman, how not to, and I also know that I witnessed how it can be in some other households where you might have an uncle or another family, distant cousin, whoever it is, that may have had negative situations happen to them, whether it be alcoholism or abuse or whatnot. But my dad kind of was the frame of not letting that affect him, in turn, not letting that affect us.
Nice.
Yes.
Right. So what's his relationship like with your kids?
You know what? As hard as I hate to say it, it's hard because when you're distant, as far as physically distant, it's hard to, because now it's like we're in the world of phone calls and FaceTimes, and I think I have like 3 different sides of my family. One does all the family reunions, the other doesn't. And that's what I've been talking about. Me and mine have been talking about that for years. We just need to be one. You know how it is when you see those family get together or family reunions, where it's like 20 different families in one. But,
I know.
It is what it is. But at the same time, no, my dad is definitely proud of our kids and watching them growing up. Do I wish he could be there more? Of course, yes, like all fathers with a father would be. But I think it's one of those things, because I know he does have a heart condition now. But so just to hop on the road, for example, all right, we're gonna go take this drive, do this, we're gonna do this. That's what comes to mind, because it's not easy for him to do those things or whatnot. But as far as him being involved with the kids, I do wish, I'm always gonna have a lot of wishes. I do wish there would be more that he can do, but I know he's proud to be in their lives, and they love him for that.
For sure. You mentioned earlier that you said you were going to put your daughter in a song. I don't know if you did say, what song did that end up being?
Yeah, I did my first song about her called Kiana.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on the Secondary Protocol album.
Okay.
And I just let loose everything that I felt when she was born. I mean, that song, to be honest, that I wasn't expecting this, because I know around me I wasn't seeing a lot of other MCs or rappers or whatnot talking about their kids. I felt like someone told me that. I think it was Tash from the Alcoholics. He mentioned, I apologize to you, or something like that. He's like, because when you would always bring her around, none of us was doing that. And I didn't praise you then. Now we know, because a lot of these guys have kids now. That made me feel good. But back then it was just a normal thing. But when I did that song, it's crazy because my guy Ono, Madlib's brother, did the production on that. And then I wrote the song. There was a part of me that thought people would be like, oh, that's corny and that's corny. I didn't care. I literally did not care. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, I'm not going to hear, maybe you should have put that on the album. Maybe you should. No, this is the proud moment this is the pinnacle moment of my album. If this is about me, let's go. But what I wasn't expecting was the reception outside of LA and outside of California, all the way to Europe and Brazil, especially. People were telling me that song brought a father and a daughter closer together. The essence of that. I was getting messages, back then it was MySpace, but I would get messages, through time about how that song influenced them. Plus, just having a dance, good feeling vibe of a song was a breath of fresh air, people would say. So that was definitely a spell. So when I hear that, it's just crazy, because I mean, the weirdest, dopest, it's weird, but dope at the same time. I would hear people in person, online, or through messages say, how's Kiana doing? So how's Kiana doing? And these people who I've never met. So how's Kiana doing? Like, to me, that's dope. I mean, it's like they're saying they watched her grow up because they saw her on the Lootpack cover, and then the song, and then, through time now. So it's dope. It's a dope feeling to have.
So which Lootpack cover, so people can go?
Oh yeah, so on the Lootpack, the first album, Sound Piece is the Antidote. On the back, as well as one of the inner sleeves, I used a picture that me and her took together, and that was like, she was like my little B girl, but her energy was just like, it was dope. Her energy was dope. She was really out there as far as fashion, she didn't mind. Most people say to their kids, hey, go on, show the grandparents that dress you just got. Show them what you did. She didn't need any of that. She's like, wait, do y'all understand that I got this dress on right now? Hold on, wait, you didn't see the one before? Let me go change real quick. I'll be right back. That's how she was, you know what I'm saying? It was
That's my daughter. That's my daughter. I'm there with you. She will twirl since she could stand. She had an outfit. She would twirl and show it off. And and I don't know where she got it from, because my wife isn't like that. She's not a fashionista, but my daughter, you can't tell her that her fit's not right. And then when the hair is fabulous, she wants you to know. So we just got the save the date for the father-daughter dance. We go every year, but because of COVID, they hadn't had it. So now in May, we're going to have our first, one in 2 years, and we're already planning outfits. We're trying to get matching sneakers.
There
all
you
that
go.
good stuff. So,
Hey, salute. Let me know how that goes.
for sure. Oh, for sure. I think I just followed you on Twitter. I'll follow you on Instagram, and then you can follow me. I'll tag you, let you know when those pictures come out. But we were looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun. It's our
dope,
night.
Man.
It's our night to hang out. It's tradition. We go out because my thing was, I wanted her to know how she should be treated, regardless of who she decides to, be involved with. She's gonna know that Daddy set the bar, for how I should be treated when I go out.
There
so
you go.
That's what we do.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Because like I said, man, I protected her. I still overly protect her now, but she's grown so much at her own, and I'm sure that's going to happen the same with your daughter. That it's going to shock you because, like my wife tells me sometimes, she's strong because of the things we instilled in her. You know what I'm saying? And to speak up, and I mean, like there was moments. There's been a lot of growing moments that, how you say as a father, you protect the family if something happens, or if you speak up and say she'd be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm, oh damn, I didn't know you was gonna say that. Like, okay, let me give you the mic. Like protest, marches, other women celebrate. It's just crazy. And then seeing all that around is dope, man. It's dope. That's gonna happen. More blessings, man, is coming for you for sure.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come and talk to me. This has been a wonderful conversation. Tell us when we can get this album, Omowale, where people can find it, plug the socials, let us all know where we can get this wonderful project.
Yeah. Omowale, the album drops March 25th, 22, all platforms, vinyl, CD for those who still use CDs, but digitally online, all platforms, that everybody's familiar with. But also you can go and pre-order it before that on fatbeats.com. But even after, you can get the album on fatbeats.com. On my social, which is at JDA Wildchild, J the Wildchild, all around. You hit me up, that's pretty much where I'm reachable at. And I'm pretty sure we'll be doing some shows and appearances. I do got some dates slated with the reuniting of the Far Side. I'll be rocking with them. That's fam right there. But I'm sure there's more stuff coming out soon. But other than that, there'll be a lot of visuals coming during quarantine. Being that it took a while for this album to come out, it gave me a chance to get some more videos done, some more visuals. We're in the world of everyone wants visuals now.
Yes.
So I got a few videos coming out on the same day of the album. Okay. So, and even after. And then following up after that, there will be a 7-inch, an exclusive 7-inch of the Manifesting song with Madlib, with a unreleased Knots remix.
Right.
The song. So that'll be coming soon too.
So I gotta ask, for the longtime fans, any chance of another Lootpack album?
You know what? I don't think it's gonna happen as Lootpack, because I think people never got to understand this. As Lootpack, we were so young, trying to experiment with what we wanted to do. Through time, I don't think we got the support as Lootpack that we wish we would have had. See, right now, we did a Lootpack project now. We could be doing, we realized we could probably be doing numerous things, but at the time we wanted that support, it wasn't fully there as much as we wanted. And we're grown men, Madlib also had, a daughter. And I knew how it worked. Hey, Madlib's able to do his thing as a producer and go off and do his thing, and Rome's the same thing. That's what we had to do. We had to maneuver. So it wasn't like we officially broke up. We just stopped recording material as Lootpack, because what was reflected wasn't the same as what we wanted. We wanted to be, so in our eyes, to be honest, we almost wish we would have waited to put that album out. It was Stone's Throw who was, no, we could just, we would have been like, maybe we should have waited a few more years to drop that, as we're watching everything go on around us, because the Alcoholics put us on first, and then came the Lootpack. Maybe we weren't ready. Maybe I'm saying we weren't ready, but maybe that album wasn't ready. Because like I'm saying, the love we get now, 2022, feels like the album just came out a few years ago. the
It still
craziest
holds
shit to
up.
me.
Still holds up. If it's on streaming, go listen to that album.
Word up.
The 24. Y'all gave us a double album of material. 24 tracks.
Word up, man.
It was
You
great,
know,
man.
Yeah, but that's what the love, respect to everyone that loves the Lootpack and stuff. And me and Madlib, we've been fam since, he's my best man at my wedding. We grew up together. It didn't matter if one of us, two of us, three of us made it. It don't matter. The love is always there. There was nothing like that. We wanted him to succeed,
Right.
as well as DJ Roms, who mixed and mastered this album and all my previous ones. And our kids are the dopest thing to me. Our kids are all cool with each other. Like, come on, man. That's like, that's a rare situation.
Yeah.
So all our wives, same thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like I said, we were young, man. I mean, excited, young. The only thing I can say is maybe we could have waited a few more years to put that record out, because we would have had 5 albums instead of just 1 album. But when someone comes up and you got this project, and we was doing beat tape albums every week at that time. And they were like, let me hear this one, which happened to be the sound pieces. They ran and flew with it. We ran and flew with it too. But what we weren't, I think, equipped for was everything outside of it, a team, management, tour management,
right,
all of that. So it became, like what major labels have. We didn't really fully have that at that time. And we didn't know what the fan base was going to be like at that time. So then years later, if you notice the Stone's Throw repertoire, as their label kept building, you do a Stone's Throw show, sold out. But that's when everyone was coming in, all the other artists started to come in. So we didn't have that at the very beginning. Yeah. We were trying, but which I'm still thankful for to this day. But like I said, we'll always work together. I think me and Madlib, I'll give you an exclusive, but me and Madlib do plan to do an album together. I just know if it'll be as Lootpack, but we got something.
That's what's up. Well, in the meantime, they can go and support Omowale in stores March 25th. Wildchild, thank you so much for coming on Fathers Who Bother, and go make sure to go check that album and check out all these episodes. If this is the first time you're listening, welcome, and go play catch up. This is Jerry Barrow. Salute, man. Have a good one.
Peace, man. Respect.
Peace.